Hello everybody, my name's Stuart Robertson. I'm an English teacher at Lasswade High School. I was asked to do one of these Pedagogy Pioneer presentation sessions about my work on building Google sites. I created the Google site for the English department at Lasswade during the first lockdown, and it's turned out to be quite useful. So this presentation is about my experiences going from a complete beginner, a complete novice, to somebody who's still relatively incompetent, but I'm getting better. I'm assuming people watching this know nothing about building websites on Google or otherwise. I'm also going to assume people aren't using the Google software because it just makes it easier. I'm going to start at the beginning and I'll talk about why I made the site in the first place, how I planned things out, and I'll take you through the sort of basic process of putting a simple website together, talk about the impact it had on the department, and that's about it really. A little bit of an overview of my experience with this little project. Google Sites is a really easy program to use. It's designed for people who have experience with the Microsoft suite, like Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Word and things like that. If you're good with those programs, you'll probably find it quite easy to get into this. I found it relatively easy to learn. But you do need a bit of a plan. You've got to have thought out what you're going to do before you start, and that makes things a little bit easier. So the purpose of the site needs to be fairly well defined before you start making it. So you've got to kind of know what you're going to achieve before you start. And you can always add things on afterwards. So if you keep it fairly small to begin with, then you can always improve it and make it bigger. It does take a fair amount of time to add the content. I think I underestimated how long it'd take to create videos and to add content and find the bits and bobs that I needed to make it work. It's got more content in it than I thought it would need. It's quite full. It's become quite comprehensive, and there's still quite a lot to do. So I kind of underestimated how much content would go into it. But the actual structure of the website is fairly easy to put together. Okay, this is a quick tour of the Lasswade English Department Google site. This is our home page that you can see at the top of the screen there, but the site is only accessible to people who are on at midlothian.education. So I'm going to assume nobody's got those login credentials, and I'll open it and I'll walk you through what it looks like, if I can. I can't. So this is the department website. It's a pretty straightforward structure. You've got the home page with hyperlinks to the two senior phase sections higher on National 5. You've also got a department notice board, which we don't tend to use particularly, but it's a good feature. It might be useful one day. And then you've got at the top right hand side a navigation bar, which allows you to use drop down menus to access all the different parts of the course. So you can use the drop down menu to go directly to one particular thing that you want to look at. However, you can easily go back to the home screen. You can navigate to exactly the same thing by going through the hyperlinks and pictures. So there's two methods to navigate your way through. You can either go through hyperlinks and go back using the back button, or you can just use the navigation at the top right hand side. So it's very difficult to get lost. It's pretty straightforward really. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about why I made the website in the first place. I think the main reason was because I was told to make the website. During the first lockdown, it became necessary to make a website, and it kind of fell to me to do it. I think because I'd shown the ability to plug my monitor back in on the department, so that I became the technical expert. So it kind of fell to me to make the website. It's not a difficult task really, so it went quite well. As a department, I think we needed it because we needed a central location for materials during the lockdown, and I think that we were looking forward into the future about how we were going to sort of manage all the materials for the students, and a website seems to be a much more effective way to do that. Another problem was, and still is to some extent, teachers duplicating or reduplicating materials over the department across Google Classroom. So you'd have different teachers teaching the same text who might be developing the same materials in isolation and not knowing about what each other's doing. This way, on Google Classroom, we know what's available, and there's going to hopefully less sort of wasted effort with teachers duplicating materials. We also needed somewhere for the students to be able to go to quickly for revision materials, and it also helps teachers when they're directing students towards revision materials because they know what's already available. We have conversations in the classroom about how we want students to improve. It's good to be able to say to a class, you need to go here and you need to go there, and being able to know exactly where those materials are and that they're freely available, and that you don't have to go away and develop them for individual classes. This is also good for teachers, as I say, having things centralized and formalized. It means there's kind of like an array of materials that we know are fully available and that we can draw upon. We can add to them and change them, but it's kind of an agreement across the department of what's available for each individual text. There's lots of scope for development and adaptation, but it's good to have those materials set in a stable form like a website, rather than Google Classroom, which changes every single year with the changes of classes. And on that point, for me, I was getting sick of remaking and rebuilding my online materials every single year. When you get a new class, you might find yourself teaching the same texts, and you might try and use materials from the previous class from Google Classroom to the next year. But the fact is, you've got to rebuild every single unit as you go. You can't take a whole unit and transfer it across. With a website, all the materials are already available and set, so I can direct towards them, and it makes the whole process of rebuilding a lot more streamlined. Right, what I'll do here is I'll just walk through how to build a basic website. It's a purposefully easy process. I suppose it would be because the software has been developed for people who aren't web programmers. I think it's been designed for people who work in these kind of contexts. So it's a purposefully easy process. I'll give you a few basic steps about how to get started and how to sort of upload a couple of bits of content like videos and things like that, and how to change the pictures. I know many people don't have any experience with this program at all, and that's fine, but so I'll just kind of demonstrate how easy it is from the bottom up. You can get a website up and running with 3 or 4 clicks, not much more than that. You do need to have a Google account, obviously, to be able to do this. Okay, what I've done is I've recorded how to do it in little video sections. So what I'll do is I'll just play these videos and walk you through what's happening on the screen. That seemed like a sensible way to do it in case I have connectivity issues. Right, so if you're using Google, you've got to go through your main account, go to the grid at the top, and then select Google Sites and click on that. And then it'll give you a selection of how you want to start your project. It's easier just to use one of the templates. If you click on the templates, it'll load everything up for you. You've already got navigation, you've already got all the bits and bobs. All you've got to do is just change all the materials and decide what you want to call things, really. And then that's pretty much ready to go. Now it's just like any other PowerPoint or Word document or something like that, you can just change all the elements to suit the needs of your particular project. First thing to do is probably to give it a name. Just like on Word or PowerPoint, you select the text and you can change the name really quickly. You can change the font size, you can change the color, things like that. It's all very sort of familiar, intuitive. Once you've changed the name, you can effectively publish that website as it is on the internet. It's going to be a bit rubbish because it doesn't have any of your elements in there yet to suit your topic, but you can click on publish and then upload it and it's ready to go. And you give it a name for the web address that's relevant. And that's effectively it. You've gone from an idea to a template to a functioning website, which isn't particularly relevant, but it does work in just a few clicks, and you can view it as a preview. That's what the website looks like online, and all the navigation elements already work. They're already in place. You've just got to change the name to what you want them to do. So it needs refinement, but it is effectively a working website. So you're now at the position where you can start thinking about how you want the website to work. You've got to think about how you want the navigation to function. You can just have a look at existing websites to see how they've done it. You add sections and subsections as you need them depending on the topic. I'll just walk you through a little bit of the English department website to show you how I've done it. So you've got the home page, which leads into the higher section. In each of the higher sections there's sub-pages within those sections. Some have more in them than others. The Scottish text poetry has lots of subsections. If you go into the exam skills, for example, if you look in the Scottish text poetry section, Mrs. Tilcher's class is a good example of where I've got quite a few things in that sub-page. And I can just click back on home when I want to go home if I need to. And you can also, as I say, you can navigate through the hyperlinks to the same pages, which makes it intuitive, and there's options and you don't feel like you're lost. I think the navigation kind of works as a map, but it just takes you to exactly the same destination, if you like, and you've always got that home page to take you home. It's fairly straightforward. This is the process how you'd add pages through the dialog box at the side of the screen. So what you do is you go to the pages section and open that up, and then on one of these pages, for example on events, if I want a subpage in there, I click this menu button and I select add subpage and I give that subpage a name. So event might be Mr. Robertson's webcast thingy. When I've done that, it adds a subpage which is dedicated to that particular topic. And that's pretty much it. If I click publish, it allows me to preview the changes that I've made. If I'm happy, I can then just click on publish, and then that subpage is now part of my website structure, and it's all done. All I've got to do is change the materials on there. And if I want to, I can just delete it, click publish again, and delete the whole thing. So it's all really easy to manage, just as you would with PowerPoint or Microsoft Word. And then you've got to start thinking about how you're going to add content and what you're going to put on the site to make it personalized to your particular project. That's a really straightforward process as well. You use this menu down the right hand side of the page for a lot of things. If you're inserting things, for example, you might want to change that top image, that sort of main image. If you just click on change image and upload, you should already have some pictures that you've selected that you want to use on your website, things that are relevant for your topic. If you just click on one of those and click open, it'll place it in the right place on the website. You can move it around a little bit if you want to, in the background if you want to make it more suitable, but usually it puts it in the right place. You can just go with it. You can also change all the individual titles and subtitles within that page. So for example, if I wanted to change this to something that's a little bit more relevant to this topic, you just literally click on it, select the text, and then you can just change it however you want it. It seems a bit small at the moment, but again, it's the kind of thing that you can just change based on how you want the website to appear. It's all very customizable and it's easy to use. And like I say, it's all easily changeable. So nothing's set in stone. It's all very adaptable. So that's that ready to go. And you can justify things and align things as you would using lots of the similar sort of icons that you'd find in Word. But that's essentially ready to go. Again, if you don't like a picture, all you've got to do is just select the picture, click on the menu, upload an image, put in an image that you think that would be suitable, something that you've already decided is going to be part of your website. Perhaps change the caption or get rid of the caption if you want to. This could obviously be a hyperlink to something else as well if you wanted to, or it could just be a cosmetic picture that makes the website look nice. And that's those elements ready to go. All you'd have to do is just click publish. It will give you a preview of what you've just done next to how it used to look. So you can go over it quickly using the bar if you want to, and then you just click publish, and that's uploaded to the web. If you want to, you can view the published site as it would appear, or as it is appearing, and just have a little play around with it to make sure it's functioning how you expected it to. That's pretty much it. Adding YouTube videos and any external content is really easy as well. Let's say, for example, you wanted to install or place a YouTube video on that home page. You can either install it directly onto one of these tables that are already there, or you can select a new content block from the menu. When you selected a new content block, and you just click on add, and you can either upload stuff or you can search YouTube directly for videos. So if you type into that search field something that's relevant to your topic, and then just select something from the list on YouTube. This seems relevant to our topic, so I can just select that, double click it, it makes the links for me, and then I've just got to give it some kind of title that's relevant to make it easy to navigate and understand. Again, that's kind of up to you what you do. So that's essentially another subsection of that homepage which is ready to go, like a feature of the homepage which is ready to go. I could click publish now, but I might want to neaten things up a little bit and make the website a little bit more clean, if you like. So it's very easy just to take sections and drag them and drop them and move them around the website. So as you can see, I'm just taking sections and dragging and dropping them where I want them. And if you're not happy with bits that you don't want, you can just delete them. So I'm happy with that layout now. All I've got to do now is just, again, click on the publish button. Review what I've done, make sure I'm happy with it, and then click publish. Publish is a bit like saving it to the web. And that's it done. And if I want to, I can click on my preview, view publish site, and I can look over what it looks like on the internet. Nice and clean. So it's all pretty straightforward. And that's all there is to it, really. The software's really easy to manage. It makes things very easy. I think it's designed for people who aren't necessarily trained in the software that you'd need to develop a proper website. There's a lot more features you can use, but they're all very manageable and they're all very sort of intuitive. As the website improved, as it developed, I wanted to be able to show at a glance what's on the website without having to go into it and search through it to find out what's there. This seemed like a good idea to me. I'm not sure how effective this will be, but it seems like a good idea going forward. And I've left space on this little map to add extra things because it's still very much a work in progress. There's a lot to do still. This isn't necessary. It's kind of something that I've decided to do. So I've got a PowerPoint which has a little sub page which is dedicated to a page on the website, so I know exactly what I've got on each page and I can change this accordingly. So it's like quite a detailed map. I may keep up with this, it depends how onerous it becomes, but it seems like a good idea to sort of keep track of what's on that website without having to go in there and search through things, because it is getting quite weighty in terms of the content. So how do the kids access the site? This is really straightforward. You copy a link to the website onto Google Classroom like I have on the screen, or you can just send them an email with the link to the website. And if they've got login credentials at midlothian.education, they're able to access the website. It's not for public access. It's only for people with the @midlothian.education suffix in their login details. So it doesn't go out to the whole world, which is good because I don't want people nicking my stuff. So what went wrong when we were developing the website? I think my early plans for navigation were a bit of a waste of time. I drew up the whole website on paper to show what it was going to look like, and I had ideas for senior phase and BG, and I drew it all onto this piece of paper, and it got really big and weighty and intricate, and it didn't really work out that way because I didn't realize how much work it was going to take. I think it's probably a good idea to get it up and running first and then think about how you're going to manipulate the existing navigation on one of the templates. Is probably the quickest way to do it. It's good to have a plan before you start, but I think that's a good thing to do. We had problems because there was a migration of data at the council, and that kind of effectively dismantled a lot of the links on the website, which caused us a lot of problems, really. We had to essentially rebuild a lot of the website, and so it was kind of out of commission for a little while, but it's up and running now. I didn't take into account how long materials take to develop. I was lucky to be doing it on lockdown, to make all my mistakes whilst I was on lockdown. I think you do need a lot of coordination from staff to take care of little sections of the website, because it's a lot of work to be managing the whole thing on your own. It's good to have other people on board to help you create videos and maybe take control of a particular subsection of the website, and that can be their remit. So things to remember. I think it's important that one person has oversight of the navigational structure of the website, the way it works. If one person's controlling that, I think it's easier for that person to then direct who does what, who has sort of responsibility over individual other sections. And also, I think it'd be very difficult for one person to maintain everything. But I think if you have more than one person manipulating the navigation too much, that might lead to sort of conflicts and problems. Another good idea is to keep everything in one directory on your school drive. When there was a data migration, we found that because we couldn't locate files easily, it was very difficult for us to re-establish connections and rebuild the website. So just for safety's sake and for your own sanity, it's good to keep things in one place on the school Google directory. It's good to keep in mind also that students are going to be accessing the website primarily through mobile phones. So that can dictate to some extent how you structure things and what you put on there. For example, things with really small text are going to be difficult for students to access with a mobile phone. Phones tend to lend themselves quite well to video. I mean, they've got the Chromebooks in Midlothian, but at the same time, you do find that students will be using the mobile phones more often than the Chromebooks. So what kind of impact has it had? It has become a bit of a fixed point in the department, so a lot of teachers are using it and directing towards it in the lessons and revision sessions and in the practice, which is good. It's been integrated into like a few aspects of department practice. For example, if we're doing conversations with students where we're trying to decide how they need to improve, it's very easy for us to direct them towards the website where we know there's key materials that are going to be useful to them. And I know Google Classroom does that to a certain extent, but the website's a little bit more secure, it's a little bit more reliable than that. We are, in that sense, using it for revision across a lot of the senior classes. There's common materials across all the teachers that we know that we can direct to that are reliable and good quality. It is also a useful resource for students who are out of school for whatever reason. So if students are out for self-isolation or if they've got an extended absence, we know there's resources that are available for them on the website, so they're able to access the learning to a great extent. Obviously, it's not enough, but it's a good feature for them to be able to access. It did dovetail quite well with the arrival of Chromebooks. Like I say, the website tends to lend itself better to a proper computer screen rather than a tiny little phone screen. Phone screens are slightly limiting, in my opinion, to when students are looking at documents. They might disagree with me about that, but that seems to be the case. We did get good take-up across the department. We have done surveys which show that quite a lot of the students are using it, over half of them to maybe 3/4 of them, but not all students are using it or accessing it. I'm hoping that's going to be sort of improved as we go forward, as it's more embedded in department practice. So next steps for us with the Google site. It is still a work in progress. It's probably never going to be finished. There'll always be things that need to be changed and adapted. It's never going to be like a fixed thing, but it is more established, shall we say, than the nature of Google Classroom, which has to be started from scratch every single year. We need to consider how we'll integrate it into the BGE. It's not going to be used as a revision resource, which is essentially its role for senior phase. So we need to be considering how we're going to integrate that into BGE to make it effective and useful. Some of the students have said that they think it's a bit messy. I don't agree, but They can have their opinion. Perhaps some aspects of it could be easy to navigate when using a mobile phone. I should imagine because of the nature of the mobile phone, and I know that's how they're accessing it, they might find it a little bit potentially messy, I suppose. We are trying to think of ways to make it more interactive. Is it possible to develop materials that will make it easy for students to interact with the website a little bit more, so they can get feedback from it, immediate feedback from it? I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but that's something that we've been thinking about.